People on the internet keep telling you to repurpose your content, right? But how do you do that? And how do you keep track of what you have and haven't repurposed? What if you accidentally share the same thing in more than one place? What if people get annoyed with you? What if they think you're not original? What is this repurposing thing all about? How do you do it well? No worries, I've got you. Today, we are going to talk about 5 content repurposing mistakes, how to fix them, and why they're wasting you time and also money. Hi, I'm Fiona, and I help performing artists to master social media and online business so you can make more money from your art without burning out or wasting time. Check out this quote. Recently, I ran a program called Content Explosion, and during that program, the performers learned how to create massive amounts of content without burning out or wasting time, and with motivation and excitement. If you want to learn more about Content Explosion, just check out the link below. It was a 2-day masterclass. Day 1 was all about the mindset that gets in the way, and day 2 was about the strategy to create more in less time. Now, this quote from Buga is all about all of the massive amounts of content that she created. It was insane in such a short amount of time. Part of it has to do with content repurposing. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't always understand what content repurposing was. And in fact, I thought it was like kind of cheating the system, right? Aren't you always supposed to be creating new content? And won't my audience like recognize this? And I shouldn't repeat myself and people will find it boring. I don't know if you think those things, but I thought them a lot. But here's the thing, your audience actually needs to hear things multiple times before they will remember it. And in fact, before they will buy, you absolutely have to repeat yourself 7, 8, 10 times. One time I had been promoting a program for, 3 weeks, and somebody who follows my Instagram stories all the time and had seen all of these posts asked me, do you do one-on-one coaching? I was promoting my one-to-one coaching at the time. And I was like, how did you miss, But it was in her mind because I had been talking about it, but it was still like a question. So you don't have to worry about whether or not you're repeating yourself. In fact, it's a good thing. People need to hear things multiple times so that they will remember them and so that it'll have a deeper impact. So don't worry about that, okay? But back in the day, I was highly perfectionistic and I didn't really have a strategy and I needed to learn. And so at that point, I started investing, I started practicing, investing my time and money in coaching. And I really learned what to do and how to create more content so that I wasn't driving myself crazy, always trying to be original. And along the way, I learned some stuff. And that's what we're going to talk about today, the art of repurposing, but also the strategy. Let's do it. So what are these 5 content repurposing mistakes that you may be making when it comes to creating your content? The first mistake is that you're just not doing it. You're not repurposing your content. And why is that? Usually it has something to do with the mindset. It's like, people are going to think I'm boring. They're going to think I'm repeating myself. I shouldn't be repeating myself. I'm not original enough. It's this kind of tug of war in your brain about what other people are thinking and what you are thinking. And you got to understand it's just not true. The people that are at the height of social media like Gary Vee are repurposing like crazy. Every piece of content you see from Gary Vee is going to be repurposed from something else. He does a long force piece of something like a graduation speech at some big university, for example. And then that gets cut into all kinds of snippets and tweets and captions and whatever by his team. Right? Let it go, this idea that every single piece of content has to be original. We get so much benefit from actually hearing something more than once. Think about those famous quotes that you know, like, you're the captain of your ship. These are statements that have been repeated over and over again so that we recognize them as really important. Whenever I hear the line, what I know for sure, I immediately think Oprah, because she said that so many times in the last article of the O magazine that it got imprinted. And I think Oprah. So you want to have catchphrases too, and you want to have ideas that you repeat. This is part of what actually builds you as an authority, like Mel Robbins' 5-second rule. It's not really that original. What makes it original is that she said it and she keeps saying it, right? So the problem is when you don't repurpose, you get exhausted, you get burnt out, you get tired, because what's the alternative? You're always wrecking your brain trying to come up with new content, and sometimes you just can't, so you don't post anything, right? So when you do start repurposing, then suddenly you can create a lot more content in less time, which expands your reach, which means more people are seeing you. And then when you can, in fact, delegate to team members, when you can start hiring people like a social media manager, you've already got a system in place for them to execute, and the content will really still feel authentically yours because it is. Isn't that amazing? Now, the next mistake is that you're not creative enough. And I get it. You're not creative enough about it because we often think very linearly, right? It's like if it's a video, then it has to stay a video. If it is a written piece of content, then it's got to stay as a written piece of content. But in fact, this is how we can get very creative with our content repurposing. You take a long form video and then you transcribe it. You get the transcription, and suddenly you've got all of this written content that you can turn into captions, that you can turn into emails or blog posts. So once you get creative, suddenly you've got way more content repurposing ideas and possibilities. And unfortunately, for those people who are not repurposing in this way, you often are going to feel stuck. I know I did. It was like impossible to create as much content as I wanted to. And so I just kind of got paralyzed in this non-action, which basically meant that I reached a plateau and I couldn't move forward. I couldn't make more progress or grow more online because I couldn't produce more content than I already was. And sometimes I would just lose all my momentum entirely. But when you do start to get creative with your content repurposing, suddenly social media gets to be fun again. It gets to be creative, and your content will look entirely different. So if you take a caption where you gave tips and then you bullet those tips into an outline for a Facebook Live, this feels and looks like two entirely different pieces of content, and yet the idea was the same, the outline, the body was the same. You did half or even less than half of the work to create two entirely different pieces of content that actually were based on the same piece of content. Isn't this just so cool? And now you've got more time for your life. You've got more time to spend with your family, with your dog, making art, practicing music, whatever it is that you want to do with your time, instead of always being on social media. Now, also, if you want to save time with social media, I have got a couple really awesome digital products in the description below. I've got a new program that will help you do your reels in record time. And I also have a program called Content Explosion, which will help you to get out of any of the mindset challenges that are in your way and will teach you a whole bunch of strategy. Those links are in the description, so check them out. All right, the next mistake is overthinking things. And this happens because, again, the mindset stuff. It's like you're just swirling around in your mind about, oh, is it original enough? Oh, it sounds too much like the thing I did yesterday or whatever. But honestly, the thing that you did yesterday only got seen by like 5% of your followers. So I just wouldn't worry about repeating yourself. So stop overthinking and just do it. If you have an idea, run with it, follow it through. I know that perfection may come in, and when we are in the midst of perfectionism, then it causes us to procrastinate and we feel like we don't know how. Just stop, just do. Stop with the overthinking and just take the action. What could go wrong? It's just a content piece for social media. But what can go right is that suddenly your energy gets freed up and you can create more. The moment you stop second guessing yourself and you just start sharing your voice, like I always say at the end of my YouTube videos, you have a voice. You deserve to be heard. This is what I'm talking about. It's that voice that's inside that wants to express itself. Express it, and don't let the ego or the perfectionism, don't let that voice cover or smother the real internal authentic voice. Got it? Because when you stop spinning your wheels and you stop overanalyzing, suddenly your intuition starts flowing, and then you've got content ideas like crazy. Remember how I mentioned Mel Robbins' 5-second rule? This is a great place to use it. If you have an idea, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, act on it. Now, I'm not talking about crazy negative impulses. Don't act on those. I'm talking about content ideas, okay? I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I actually don't track my content repurposing very well. I kind of have a Band-Aid system that combines my Google Docs with my Notes app on my phone. And you know what? That's good enough. I just go for it. Because another mistake you're probably making with your content repurposing is worrying about tracking it. And I say just let that worry go. Who cares? If you repeat yourself, you repeat yourself. I've already said your audience actually needs you to repeat yourself. So if you do, great. You actually don't need to know or remember what you posted where, when. Don't allow that kind of worry to stop you or cause procrastination. Yes, down the road, you can use great apps with your team and you can have your OBM, your online business manager, managing it all with an app like Notion or ClickUp or whatever. But for right now, who cares? I don't. So when you stop making this mistake, suddenly you've got a lot more forward momentum and you're just not worried about what you're not doing. You're allowing your intuition to flow and you're following the fun. And then gradually at this phase, you'll create your own system like I have, and maybe it's a bit of a Band-Aid approach, and that is fine. All right, now this mistake is so important. You're not understanding the relationship between content repurposing and money. What do I mean? I mean that the more content you put out, the more money is likely to come into your business, because putting out the content is how you actually get more eyeballs to your offers. What's an offer if you're a performing artist? Like your lessons if you teach, or like your show that's coming up that you want people to come to. These are all offers. So you want people to see what it is that you're promoting, whether you're promoting a show or a course or whatever it is. You want people to see it, and the way they're going to see it is by putting out the social media content, right? But if you've got a ceiling on how much content you can put out there, then fewer people are going to see it, and that means you're actually going to lose money. You're not losing money you have, you're losing money that you could have had. Make sense? You're also losing money by wasting time, right? Because time is money. You could be using your time in a much better, more money-generating activity. And you're also not reusing those posts that are the most effective, right? If you, let's say, had a post that really brought in students, and then you just let that post sit on Instagram where nobody is looking at it because Instagram's algorithm favors recency over length, then that post is just doing nothing. Whereas you could post that post again on Instagram, great, more students. You could take that same post and put it on Facebook, great, more students, all right? Or you could turn that content into something else. So I highly recommend that you repeat your highest performing posts in every way possible on every platform possible. So I hope that you got a lot of useful information out of this video and that you're now thinking about repurposing in a whole new way. And if you did like this video, then I highly recommend you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell, but also that you come on over to Instagram and you say hi and join my free Facebook community. I made it especially for the entrepreneurial performing artist. There are links to everything in the description. Now, this video on the mistakes that you're making with your content repurposing is actually part of a 2-video series. Next week, we're going to talk about 7 ways to actually do the content repurposing. So definitely come on back next week for that video. Now, if you're like, Fiona, but who even cares about all my content? Because nobody does. Nobody's engaging with my content. Then I highly recommend you watch this video next, which is going to help you to get more engagement to your posts, okay? And now, as always, go out into the world and let your light shine. You deserve to be heard, and the world deserves to hear you.